Hello everyone, Zolvamus here, and welcome to the review of the Rainmaker by the Flower Kings. Pretty bad album. We're going to be discussing that right here, right now. First of all, the Flower Kings released this album in 2001 in September, I believe, if I am not mistaken. September, I was right. This album was released in September. Hey, look at that. Memory works. This album has been one of the most mixed reviewed albums by the Flower Kings in terms of a full studio album. This album does have its decent tracks. It has really good tracks, and then it has some absolute dog whiff tracks, which are nice for shit. Should have just said that to be nicer, apparently. But let's go right into the review. Okay, so to start us off, this album is by far their weakest to this date. There is not a lot of good material to go through on this album, but I'll do my best to bring out bits and pieces. First of all, this album had an opportunity to be fantastic, but really lost its chance and went in a complete 180 and went the opposite direction. This album really is the definition of a swing and a miss. This album has some saving graces on this album, but they're not enough to keep it from going above 1 star. It's never going to go above 1 star. The saving graces on this album are City of Angels, which is a very old school Flower King sounding song, similar to that of some stuff on Space Revolver, the Flower Power, Stardust We Are, and Further Back. And The Blessing of a Smile, which was written by Thomas Bodine, which is a really interesting soundscape song with intricate drums and an interesting pattern produced by Mr. Bodine. And that was pretty much it. All the other tracks, aside from maybe one, A World Without a Heart, that is the only other song that I can say is decent at best. Red Alert just seems like it seems like The Blessing of a Smile and Red Alert just could have been one song. Serious Dreamer is another one that is decent. Not as good as A World Without a Heart, but it's still not the best on the album. All the other songs that I did not cover are very blues rock influenced, which is not progressive rock, and it's just, this album cannot be really called a progressive rock album. It's more of a blues rock album that I can compare to the likes of Dire Straits, and that is about it. This album could have been fantastic, but it turned out that it was going in the complete opposite direction from the first listen, and it just continued forward and turned into a huge hunk of dribble that really had no, ending point that was satisfactory. This album had no real elements of older progressive rock that the band has been famous for generating. Influences such as Genesis, Yes, and ELP are only a few of the influences that can be found on previous albums, except for this one. Hence why it has such a bad review. I think it is the lowest reviewed album by the Flower Kings on Prog Archives, if I am not mistaken, but that is how it goes. This, like I said, this album could have been fantastic, failed to meet their expectations. All in all, this album does not compare to their next album, which would be Unfold the Future, which came out in 2002, but that is a video for another time. This has been the review of the Rainmaker by the Flower Kings. Really poorly done album, their weakest to this date, and I can't really do much to save this rating. 1 star is very, very fitting for this album. And even though it has some pretty cool grooves in some of the more blues rocking songs, it doesn't save it altogether because those longer songs are too inconsistent, don't follow a pattern, they don't have any reach, and the structure of the songs doesn't fit the rest of the album, or at least the good songs. This album doesn't fit with the time that the Flower Kings were creating their albums. The previous album being Space Revolver, and the next one being Unfold the Future, both completely different from this album, and it just fell flat. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.